Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk a little bit today about the Fairbairn-Sykes Commando knife. These are interesting, iconic, they're historically interesting knives. Now this isn't an original, this is just a cheap replica. Not a particularly good one, but it serves to illustrate the point. And this basic pattern has been copied over and over since World War II. The Gerber fighting knives, their daggers are really patterned after this. There are a bunch of others that are at least loosely patterned after this. Cold Steel has a bunch of daggers that are more or less patterned after this one. It's been a very influential design. A lot of people think because Fairbairn-Sykes, because the OSS and the British Commandos and all the people who use this knife, because they were so awesome, they were skilled warriors and they were deadly, and they picked this knife, this must be the best, it must be a really excellent knife. I'm going to argue that it really isn't a very good knife. They're historically interesting, they're cool. I mean, having one for your collection is certainly not a bad thing. Like, would I actually want to use this knife or rely on it? Not really. These, as near as I can tell, weren't really designed or intended to be optimum. They were designed to be good enough. These were sort of cheaply made in the 40s during World War II, and they weren't really made with the best materials. The best materials weren't available. I mean, there was a war going on and people only had so much money to work with and good steel and so on. You needed steel for tanks and rifles and etc. So they designed a knife that was just good enough. The blade is long enough and it really emphasizes the thrust. We got a very windy day, so bear with me here. It emphasizes thrusting, and this blade is long enough at about 6 inches to penetrate reliably to a vital organ. And the K-Bar USMC fighting knife was designed the same way with a 7-inch blade. It was intended to penetrate reliably to a vital organ through heavy winter clothing. This one not so much through heavy winter clothing necessarily. And was designed not to be any bigger than it needed to be. They could have made this 8 or 10 inches long, but the bigger it is, the harder it is to carry. And really, this is kind of a stubby, skinny little handle. There's not a lot here. And so they made it as small as they dared while still making it big enough to do its job. This really emphasizes thrusting and stabbing. The edges on most examples are really not very sharp, and on this one's like a letter opener. It's really not very sharp. Now you do see examples that are sharp, but really it's not a blade that emphasized slashing. And for the longest time I thought, okay, well their knife system and their knife really just emphasized thrusting and not slashing or cutting at all, which I understand from some sources is not necessarily true. They did see the value in a cut or a slash. They maybe didn't emphasize that as much, but it was still an important part of the system, and apparently those originals were good enough for delivering a slash or a cut. But yeah, these just have a cast metal handle of some kind. I'm not sure if the originals were brass or aluminum or zinc, I don't know, but very cheaply done. And those handles can be a little delicate and they can break, and they're cold in the winter and hot in the summer and don't offer the very best grip. I mean, they're okay, but again, this whole knife was intended to be good enough and maybe not great. The blade, in terms of cutting ability, was intended to be good enough but not great. In terms of the thrust and the stab, yeah, this is a needle point. Okay, it's pretty significant. It's pretty good for that sort of work. But these blades were often a little delicate and brittle, and they were frequently known to break in knife fighting, and a lot of guys would carry a couple of knives because they were counting on breaking one. That's my understanding. So again, if you think this is the pinnacle of knife design and the pinnacle of quality knives, even an original or something made to the standards of the original, no, I have to disagree. They were really known even in that time for not being very good. They were just good enough. They were light, they were quick, they were good enough. You could carry a couple of them. If you broke one, it could be replaced. It wasn't that big a deal. So Fairbairn-Sykes designed this system of knife fighting around this knife and knives like it, although also around the Smatchet and other bladed implements like that. And it served them really well during the war. It was good, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't the pinnacle of knife fighting or the pinnacle of knife design. It was designed to do a certain job at a certain time in a certain place, and it was great for that, but that doesn't mean it translates well to the modern day. And I would even argue that, I mean, I don't have a lot of use for a double-edged design like this. I would rather have a single-edged knife where I can get a hand on the spine and push it or baton it or something like that. This is more of a single-purpose knife. And yes, a double-edged knife can have other uses, absolutely, can be used effectively in other ways besides for knife fighting and has practical uses. It's often been said that the Arkansas toothpick design of knife, those big daggers you'd see in the 19th century, were useful in part because you could use one edge all the time for your everyday cutting tasks, but save the other edge for when you needed a really sharp knife, for knife fighting or for some other emergency. So, okay, there's a reason, there's a very legitimate reason, a rational reason to have a double-edged knife. But for the most part, I find a single-edged knife to be more useful most of the time. So yeah, even though these are light and quick and they can thrust really well, generally they don't slash very well. I like a knife that has better cutting ability. That's just my preference. I'm not crazy about the handles. I'm not crazy about the sheaths. I'm not crazy about kind of any part of it. It's cool historically, and I love having this one in my collection just as a reference. Hey, this is the kind of thing they used way back when, and it's interesting. But if I were reaching for a knife to, even if I had a really, really good example that would cut well or whatever, I probably wouldn't be reaching for this most of the time when I need a knife, because it's just not my kind of knife. Even if I were, God forbid, to get in a knife fight, which I hate to do, I don't know that I would really reach for this sort of knife in a knife fight. I don't think it's for me. But yeah, these are cool, and if you're a knife collector or a student of history, it's great to have one in your collection for a reference. It's very, very neat. And I mean, it's lively in the hand, it feels cool, and it's interesting to hold this and think, this is what they use. This is a connection to the past. I can kind of feel what the Commandos were feeling and imagine what it would have been like to have been on one of those raids or one of their covert clandestine missions. And I probably would have been scared to death, to be blunt about it, but it would have been very comforting to have a decent knife with me, and they use those to good effect many times. And so yeah, this is an interesting connection to history, even though it's just a replica, and very cool, very well worth having if you're a knife collector or if you're a student of that period of history. But I wouldn't say that you should carry one of these as a utility knife, as a fighting knife, as an anything knife. To my mind, no matter how good these are, there are probably better choices out there. Even some of the ones from, say, Cold Steel that do cut really well, I mean, they're just not really my thing, if I'm being blunt about it. I'm not telling you what you should have, but even though this is extremely cool, an extremely cool piece of history, this as a knife design, as far as I'm concerned, was useful in a certain time and place, and since then, out of that context, maybe not that useful anymore. Anyway, it's just my thoughts on the knife. I think it's a cool piece, and I assume that most of you are familiar with it already, but I just wanted to give my thoughts about it and its place in history and its place in the modern world, which, as far as I'm concerned, is only as sort of a curio. It's a interesting piece of history, but not as really a terribly useful tool anymore. Not saying it has no use at all, but I think we have more useful tools now. In any event, guys, until next time, keep your powder dry.